Let me clear my throat here. What's up, everyone? Happy Wednesday. It is time for BRAP. Got a lot to talk about. Boy, do we have a lot to talk about. Should be a great show. And, have some, I don't know, just a lot to talk about. Almost didn't do the show today because I was like, it's kind of a slow news week. And then our buddy, our good pal, he's a fan of the show, Jim Ryan, has made some commentary, which we'll talk about later on in the show. And then we also have some other game-related news to talk about as relates to some popular franchises, and then PlayStation 5 and Xbox hardware updates as well. So we'll get into a little bit of that as well. Big shout out to everyone in the live chat. Do me a favor. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already. If you're new to the show, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you're alerted when we go live. I just dropped the link in live chat, so please share that in your favorite social media platform. Let everyone know here we're here. We are giving unbiased gaming opinions. Maybe, I don't know. Some people think we're biased, but which anyhow. Want to give a big shout out to Game Logic, who I won't call you Lee Hampton, by the way. I still refuse to do that. I don't know. Maybe I will one day. But we got Game Logic in the house. What's up, man?
Good, man. Good, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. Happy that you got your Steam Deck. It's good that it was, good condition, So now, have you set it up already? Is it good to go?
I've just gotten logged in. I haven't actually used it yet. That was also my cheapest. Turns out to be my cheapest expense of today, purchase of today. So.
Oh yeah,
I'll kick back and enjoy that because I won't be going anywhere for quite some time.
Yeah, when you said 2, I was like, oh, okay, never mind. Yeah, that's a lot, man. That's aggressive, by the way. But hey, sometimes sometimes that's how things go. But
these are the things you do to keep the peace.
Was 2 part of the peace deal? Like, was that, or was it like, hey, you're getting one, I might as well get one too?
It was the every time we go to do this, anytime I go to do this, it's a very quick in and out transaction. Anytime we go to do this, it winds up being a thing where I feel bad for the salesman. So like the first expensive purchase was one I had shipped in. And the last time we did this, we shipped in 4 different ones. And by the 4th one, they were like, come on, man. Like, either you're going to buy this one or we're going to have a talk. So this time I was like, look, we've done all this research. We're just going to buy, we're going to buy this one. If we're not going to buy it for you, we're going to buy it for me. And then we'll find something else for you on the lot. So that's how it walked itself up to 2.
Gotcha. Okay, that's cool. Okay, cool, man. Cool. All right. We also got my man Slomo Backslap, who just loves being right, by the way. Loves being right. Relishes in the glory of being right. You should change your name to Slomo Right Slap.
My current Twitter name is Slomo Clapback. Cause,
I saw that, yes.
Clapping back at like everybody that was like trying to tell me all kinds of things and try to make me sound like I was crazy back in January. Well,
I may have been one of those individuals.
Laughing now. Hey, no, I wouldn't do that to you, Enrique. But some
hey,
of these other guys,
that's fine, man.
I got receipts on y'all.
Porter Rock pulled receipts on me, and said I owe him flowers or something. I don't know what that's about, but we'll talk about that later on because that's some pretty big breaking news that happened today. So we'll definitely talk about that. But Slomo, I'm thinking whatever you're predicting is going to happen. And we'll talk about this later. I'm going to go with that from now on. I
wouldn't. The thing is that the further in the future you go with predictions, the less likely they are. I do have a theory of where I think it's going to go, but I think at least in the short term, I've been pretty accurate with it. So we can see how it goes. We can see how it goes.
Yeah, no doubt. But excuse me. So yeah, we got some gaming news to talk about. We're gonna discuss here Tencent here. Tencent's in the news. Tencent has actually invested into. Did you predict this would happen, or was that B? Maybe it was B Money. Didn't someone on the show actually said that?
Well, Ubisoft, yes. B Money did predict that Tencent would invest heavily in Ubisoft. I think, yeah.
So he did predict that. I couldn't remember if he did. So basically, they raised the stake to Ubisoft to nearly. Hold on a sec here. I just had the article up. So they increased the stake they have in Ubisoft then, from its current 4.5% stake to 10%. Is that
right? And
Yeah.
they now own a 49.9% stake in the Guillemot brothers. I
Yes,
forgot what
40.
it's called. It's
Uh,
the Guillemot brothers something. Is like a
the
trust they
Gamout
have, or
Brothers Limited
or
Holding Company, which is the
limit. Yeah,
holding
sorry,
company
that's
of
it.
Ubisoft.
Limited
Yeah,
holding. I don't know why I
yeah,
said trust. Yeah, the
yeah.
limited holding company, which still isn't a controlling share of that. But this really only gives them. I think what it came out to be is like 5%.
49.9%.
Well, I mean, for overall for Ubisoft, like a
Mm-hmm.
5% voting share or something like that.
Oh,
So
okay, gotcha, gotcha,
they,
gotcha.
they've invested heavily, and the actual number isn't disclosed. But I mean, look, we know how Tencent rolls, right? I mean, this is long game, how they normally work out, and if the Guillemot family finally decides to get, we're done with this. Like, we can't turn this around. Everyone keeps getting mad at us because we enjoy racist jokes, and we don't like women to talk to us in meetings, and we're gonna get up out of here because everything's changing. Like Tencent is in a better position to be able to make an offer now than they were, say, a month ago. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Logic, any thoughts on this latest investment by Tencent?
Yeah, and the other thing it does is I think it has a bit of a poison pill effect as well, right? If Tencent doesn't want to make that move right now, and it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be interesting to see how they play, because I think they also maybe are getting into territory where they need to kind of hedge their bets and be a little cautious about which pawn they move first and when. Um, the Logitech handheld that has been announced and is thought to come out later this year was leaked recently, and the only thing official that's been announced about it was the blog post on the Logitech website and their PR announcement. But one of the things about that handheld is it actually runs on Tencent's cloud. Tencent, as far as I recollect, is I think the fourth largest cloud service provider on the planet. Um, what we don't know about that Logitech device, it appears that it is running Google's officially licensed version of Android. But cloud delivery is going to be over Tencent. Tencent has maybe, I want to say it's like 2 or 3 regions in the U.S., maybe 6 availability zones total. There's no word on what agreements they've made with other carriers who they need their backbones to ride for their traffic to ride on. Any peering agreements that they've made with CDNs or or content delivery networks, things of that nature. Don't even know if that device is going to be sold in the U.S. or if that is an overseas-only device. But as they continue to push outwards in the cloud, they are a Chinese-held company. There's lots of concerns and regulations on, even if it's a non-national citizen's data riding on your network, that data maybe, sometimes there are laws that require that data to remain domestic and not to cross international boundaries, things of that nature. So as Tencent continues this push out into the gaming world and then now starts to cross that content over with their cloud ambitions, they're going to start running into more scrutiny on exactly how they're operating and where that data is going. You put that in combination with a lot of the announcements that were made this week about U.S. Commerce regulations that have just gone into effect,
Yep.
gating, chip technology transfers that can go to Chinese customers and things like that. There's a lot more scrutiny being given to Chinese technology companies, spurred on by Pelosi's visit to Taiwan and the Chinese Navy's response to that, et cetera. So It's
The
going to kind of
Chinese
be interesting
response to
where
that
these
was
things
kind of
go.
interesting, by the way, Game Logic. They referred to it as Cold War-like.
Well, to the regulations, right? But I mean,
Yes,
with
yeah.
Pelosi's visit to Taiwan, I meant about the Chinese Navy firing live fire weapons either side of the Taiwanese international waters and exercising naval forces in their vicinity and things of that nature. So, and obviously Taiwan occupies kind of the center of the universe when you talk about chip fabrication. So, just a lot of convergences of a lot of adjacent topics that hinge in and around gaming commerce.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Slomo, any other thoughts before we move on to the next topic? I'm trying to move through these topics pretty quickly.
No, that's it. I think Lee. I guess I gotta call him Lee now. Can't call him Logic. Lee.
No, I can't do that. I gotta call him Logic. Can't call him Lee.
Hey man, the gaming community
Call him
wanted
Ham.
to let me go.
Ham.
just
Ham.
let me go. It's time.
That's Hamp right there.
Hamp. We're gonna call him Hamp. I can call him. I can call him Hamp.
You can go with that. You can
I
go
like
with that.
Hamp. There we go. We can do that. Thank you, Slomo.
I agree with Hamp.
Hey, I this isn't game related, by the way, but I found this very, very funny that someone at Apple decided to track a woman's ovulation cycle on a watch. Like, I'm sorry, I don't know. I share this with my wife, and she looked at me. She's like, "Are you serious?" I said, "Yeah." I was like, "Do you think that's like would be something you would want?" She's like, "No, I don't think so." She goes, "It's kind of
a woman engineer that created it, and she wanted it because she was pregnant, and she wanted to be able to track that herself. Or she was trying to get pregnant. I'm sorry,
man. Look, man. Look, here's the thing. Here's what I'm thinking, Slomo. I'm thinking a man came up with this. That's my thought. I could be wrong.
I don't know. I don't want to speak for all men. I wouldn't care. Maybe this is me because I'm 3 kids in and I've already got the snip, so I can't have any more. So I definitely don't care.
You're smart. You're a smart man, by the way.
You're
a smart man, Slomo.
But I don't know. I saw that in the whole Apple thing, which I thought was interesting. How much they the thing with the smartwatch thing is it makes me feel like they all think everyone who wears a smartwatch is going to climb Mount Everest or something. It's just like, why can't these people be doing normal things? Like at the most,
or the
swimming pool,
the deep dive,
the guy, it's like.
But I mean,
people are climbing a mountain with the smartwatch on. I'm like, bro, I'm never ever doing that. But
Slomo, I mean, I get why they would do that though. I mean, they're trying to probably appeal to a swath of people that might be interested in utilizing a watch, and I just feel like it's just another I don't know, it's another notch in the belt of things they can offer on a watch. I don't know. But I did find the ovulator whatever kind of funny. I laughed. That was kind of interesting. But it could be something that people that kind of catches on. I don't know. That's just my quick 2 cents on it. But yeah,
I'm just saying about how when they were talking, how long they kept showing shots of people climbing mountains. It was just like, yo, this imagery is making me kind of think I'm a rock climber, or my normal altitude is 100 miles north of where it currently is, and it's not, and it's never going to be unless I'm on a plane, which at that point I don't care, right? No, I just thought the whole show was funny because all the long panning shots of everything. There was this one time I think when the CEO was finally Cook was going to finally announce the phone, and he's standing outside. Clearly,
he was so far away.
Yeah, it was like, why is the camera so far away? Then it slowly starts to zoom in. I'm just like,
Slomo, I was squinting.
Really having fun out here. Can y'all just put this guy in front of me? Explain what the phone is. We all know it ain't got no extra features that it did last year. You gonna go on about 30 minutes talking about how great the phone, the camera is, and how much better it is than a professional camera.
Who makes the camera parts?
The price. I don't know, whoever that is. They love that guy. Whoever makes the camera is clearly got all the talking points in the meetings, because clearly that's all they really everything else
they
is
did a
just
deep dive
like,
in the camera. Yeah, they really kind of focus.
They do that every year. I guess a lot of people that care about taking pictures.
It looked fire though. The 14, the Apple, the iPhone 14 looked pretty good though. They have the 6.7 inch screen, and the 6.1 inch. I would go with the 6.7. For me personally, it's funny
because I'm saying all this, and I'm probably going to get one. I'm probably going to get the Pro, just because I'm tired of Android. Don't want to have a change. I do this like every 5 years, so.
Well, I feel like I feel like the iPhones and the Androids have been kind of neck and neck for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
You know, which which is why I haven't left Android or specifically Samsung, the Galaxy phones. I haven't had an iPhone in probably 10 years. Hey Hamp, what did you think of? I don't know if you got a chance to catch up on some of the Apple event. Did you see the phone or?
I did not. No, I haven't had a chance to catch up. But,
yeah, because
I mean, everything that you guys said, I mean, follows suit, right? So the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 4 was not super impressive this year, as has been the case the last couple of years. You know, everybody's a little more amped about the Flip, particularly given its less expensive price. The OnePlus 10 wasn't anything kind of knock off your socks. So, and Google's Pixel is kind of, at least to me, is always a bit of a it's never a bad phone. It's just a little bit of a disappointment from what it could be. So I don't have much higher hopes for the 7. Everybody's been kind of heralding the iPhone as the one that could potentially make people, want to make moves this fall. The little blurbs that I did see kind of corroborated with some of what I was expecting to come up, which was a 48 megapixel camera, I think is what I did catch.
Yeah. Phone's like 6.7 inches or something like that.
6.7 inch screen. Yeah.
I mean, and they spend so much time on the camera because that's the thing that's moving phones, right? I mean, in reality, for lots of the market, what these devices have really become is they've really become smart cameras, right? Less so smartphones. People care a little bit less. A certain demographic cares a little bit less about the phone part of it. That's just a necessity that they have to take. But what they really look for is the camera and
get their Instagram on.
Yep. Yeah. And Apple's had, some of the best, Apple for the last few years, by some opinion, has made the best combination of both sensors and imagery, and then imagery post-processing. More impressive, but I don't think that they've been able to put together as good of an imagery software and sensor package as Apple has been able to put together through their supply line. So. Yeah, it'll be interesting. That was the one. I decided I wasn't upgrading my Z Fold this year. I'm not planning on upgrading my OnePlus unless there's a little bit of breaking on the case that I may do something about later. But I have been considering upgrading my iPhone to a 14. But we'll see.
I just wanted to point out, especially for those in the chat, and who will be listening to this on replay, who think that Enrique is the biggest pony that there is. That earlier today, Enrique was telling us about how he was going to get an iPhone 14 Pro, and I said, yeah, I think I might pick that one up too. I might switch over from Android to Apple. And then Enrique goes, oh, wait a minute, they don't have xCloud, do they? I said, yeah, currently right now it's the only accessible through browser. He said, oh no, I can't make that change. I need the app. I need the xCloud app. I need to play Xbox games through cloud on my phone. People think necessary for me because I'm a huge bot. And that's what he said. That's all that word for word. And I was like, wow.
I never said I'm a huge bot, but I did actually say, because I asked Slomo, I was like, Slomo, does the iPhone have xCloud? He's like, no, you can only do it through the browser. And I'm like, oh, that's no. I need my xCloud app where I could just, not even think about it. Just pull up the games and hit stream, and I'm good to go. I don't want to be typing in URLs, and doing that. I know there's a workaround.
So did I mishear?
Type it in one time, make it a favorite, and then every time you open up your browser, you just hit another button and it's there.
I guess I could do that, but
and you could put the shortcut right on your screen and just launch it. Like
that's true. You could.
Right.
So I just like having the app.
Did I incorrectly hear the conversation on Crossfire that I was concerned that perhaps the view of the panel was too limited? I thought I heard a couple of weeks ago on Crossfire a lot of lamenting that no one actually played xCloud games, that they all were just playing like the Luminous or anything that was kind of Candy Crush like, but they weren't actually using xCloud to actually play higher fidelity games that could be available on the Xbox platform. I just heard a lot of poo-pooing that the whole notion of Xbox's mobile strategy was woefully misbegotten. Did I hear that incorrectly?
I don't recall. I don't recall, but probably. No, I do think xCloud is. Look, I wouldn't say it's all like Candy Crush type stuff. I mean, I said this to Slomo. I used it to play Fortnite about a week ago. I don't use it a lot because I just don't really care to game on the go. That's just not why would I? I mean, I've got a $3,000 almost $3,000 PC. I've got this nice 65-inch OLED that's staring at me right now. I mean, nice comfortable couch. I don't,
If you want a game on the go, you just get a Steam Deck, man.
I mean, well, yeah, I could do that, but if I'm gaming on the go, yeah, absolutely, I'll fire up the good old xCloud and play some games. I mean, I did try out Fortnite. I wouldn't recommend playing Fortnite on on xCloud, but for what it wasn't terrible. It actually worked for that particular service. It actually didn't work as bad as I thought it would, but it's not. Again, I wouldn't recommend playing Fortnite, via xCloud. But yeah, I mean, I've played some other games on xCloud, but it's just not something that I really play a lot because there's no reason for me to really. So,
I use xCloud because it's the only way to play Xbox games through Steam OS on Steam Deck. I did the whole process of getting it's essentially doing the same thing that you would be doing, Ricky, if you got an iPhone. You're basically using the browser to pull that up, and I have it saved as an icon under my Steam library. I just called it xCloud. Yeah, and I just go to it like I go to any other game on Steam through the Steam Deck. And I just choose it. It pops up, and it shows me, all the games I have available to play. If I decide to play anything like that through that, like the last time I was really playing my Steam Deck extensively was earlier this summer when I was on vacation, and my Steam Deck was like my only real access to gaming. So I was playing my Steam games. I was doing xCloud, and I played a little bit of Fortnite. So stuff like that, but.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Hey, real quick, I want to get this super chat. Hey, Hamp, guess who gave us a super chat?
My guess is Erasmus, or is it the world famous Borbor Country?
It is the world famous Borbor Country, and he says, "Good sir," with a $2 super chat. He says, "Good sir, have you ever used Pixel 6 Pro?"
I have not.
I haven't either.
I think I very carefully caveated my comments about the Pixel that was right, that was a view, that was not my view, but that was what has been written in the media. So you guys are free to catch me, but I'm very careful to caveat whether I'm making comments about something that I have actively tested or used myself, or whether or not it's just a matter of commentary that I've read elsewhere. My problem with the Google, and look, I'm a big Google fan, and when I was subscribed to Stadia, I think that covered I think 2 iterations, maybe 3 iterations of the Pixel that was released, that I kept sitting on the edge and waiting, like every year when that phone came out, saying, I want a phone that is kind of my principal like Stadia screen. And I think I went, maybe it was Pixel 4, 5, or 6. I'm not sure, but each year I kept waiting and waiting and waiting, and each year I felt like those phones just fell a little short in terms of what they were capable of doing for the price point that they are at. I look. And what I was a super huge fan of is I grew up on the Nexus program, and that's what I always liked, which was a phone that was incredibly powerful.
The Nexus. I remember the Nexus
for a pretty much more reasonable price that typically would undercut the iPhone. But when Google went that kind of Apple-esque route of a very expensive phone that was slightly more refined in physical design, but to me was a little bit more form over function, whereas I am mostly a function over form type person. It just appeals. It has always appealed to me less than the Nexus phones did, but that's just me.
Yeah, I want to address a comment in the live chat. Albert G says, we all know xCloud does not work well in the wild. I can't speak for everyone's experience, Albert, but I can tell you that when I've used it out in the wild via 5G, I haven't had many issues, to be honest with you. It's actually worked pretty well, to my surprise. That's my experience. So,
yeah, and we on enough to keep going, we ran some pretty heavy experimentation with cloud services. One particular season of the show, one of the co-hosts continues to do so, and has been an avid user of Stadia, xCloud, and GeForce Now. And he continues. He's dropped Stadia after all of us fell off of that subscription, and he continues to use xCloud, both in home on Wi-Fi and out in the wild on 5G. Upgraded his phone specifically so he could have a better experience playing more xCloud games, and he has not had any issues. And he has used those services enough that he would definitely not suffer through a bad experience what the cellular infrastructure is in the area of use, and what your own network connectivity is, whether or not you're actually on a primary carrier or a sub carrier, and an MVN. And so, when you're living in an area where you are far from the nearest colo for a given service, then your experience is going to tend to not be as good. My own experience was Stadia was a better experience for me than xCloud gaming was. And that's why I stayed on Stadia, for a long time, whereas I stopped using xCloud gaming. But a lot of it depends on your location and your bandwidth and what's coming to your house, and how your own network manages latency, jitter, and ping.
Yeah, no, that's a great point.
Kind of agree with that. I kind of agree with Hamp there. When I did have Stadia for about 3 months. Shout out to Mooch for giving me a friend invite into it. I would play some games on it that I had available to me on my lunch breaks when I was actually going into the office once upon a time. And I actually had a better performance experience with Stadia than I did with xCloud. That said, I've had some bad experiences with xCloud with some games where it's just unplayable, determined by the kind of game it is. And I've noticed that with PlayStation Remote Play as well. Using PlayStation Remote Play, the only games I could really play is something like Until Dawn, something that you don't really need. I mean, you got QTE events, but nothing like CoD or God of War or something like that. You couldn't play those games, and it's the same with xCloud for me. That like I can't play quick Twitch stuff, but if it's like a Telltale game, that's not a problem. But the big issue I had with Stadia, and the reason why I didn't keep it, is that it just didn't have enough of a library to justify keeping it beyond the 3 months. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, Slomo. Hey, Hamp, we have another super chat from guess who?
The world famous globe-trotting boy country.
Exactly. Borbor with a $2 super chat says iPhone announced features today that was 2018 Pixel. So I guess he's saying some of the features iPhone announced were found in the 2018 version of the Pixel phone.
Yep.
Right.
And
that's possibly true, and that will have zero impact on how well that phone sells.
exactly. I was about to say that. Yep.
Yeah, I would agree with that too.
It changes nothing. When people are like, oh, I can unlock my screen with my face. You know, like remember all the iPhone users thinking they had something great there, and like that was on Android phones back in like 2012. It is what it is.
Yeah, and the tail of the tape between Android and iPhone continues to be, and I'm sure, absolutely certain, there are anecdotal experiences that other people have had that will differ. But as I ran through that list of phones that I was considering not upgrading, just accept that as, for the sake of argument, as indication of how much I have tested these types of devices. And I used to be a smartphone reviewer. And spent a long time, actually, even more so as a tablet reviewer, and have had opportunities of jobs where, over 9 years, where I'm always able to walk in and I'm given a BYOB license to bring my own tablet, right, to connect for use at work. And at the end of the day, what it always comes down to is a matter of stability over power. And in many, many cases, I walk away feeling that the Android device is typically more powerful and has more flexibility in how I want to use it. But in my work scenario, for example, my tablet is my digital brain, right? And so it has to be able and available for note taking. And if I'm in the middle of a design meeting or troubleshooting or I have an employee who walks into my office and starts talking. In many, many cases, somebody walks in and starts talking in the first 60 seconds. I don't take any notes. And then at the 2-minute point, I go, shoot, this is a note-taking situation. And I can't afford to, have my device like crash, boot, the app force close, any kind of wonkiness like that. And that unfortunately tends to happen more so on Android than it does
I would agree with
on
that.
iPhone.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think when I had the iPhone, I don't even think my phone ever crashed at all. I mean, it was definitely one of those devices that just worked. I've had crashes on my Samsung Galaxy phones, but I felt like with the iPhone, I just never had any issues like that. It was solid. It ran. I mean, great piece of tech, but.
And before the chat comes after you, so I will say, if you use them like far and wide enough, like all smartphones crash, right? All smartphones lock up. iPhones definitely crash. They definitely lock up. They definitely do wonky crap. I mean, the whole reason I got away from my iPhone 1 and didn't even go back into the iPhone 6 was because for a very long time there was a contacts bug on iPhone, on the first iPhone, where you would be scrolling through contacts and the screen would just lock up.
Okay.
So as I'm trying to make a phone call, right, I'm scrolling through my contacts. Sometimes I'm in the car, and the phone screen just locks up and my phone's unavailable, right, which was just unacceptable. So they definitely have their issues, but yeah, by and large, what I've found, particularly using them at work and out in field engineering situations and whatnot, I've just found that the Apple iOS tends to be more stable and reliable than Android.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. All right, so Slomo, I got a question for you, man.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready for some more Assassin's Creed?
No, never.
He said
no.
Not even
Assassin's Creed.
Not even old style original school Assassin's Creed.
I don't like stealth games, so the original like trilogy of games and the old style of Assassin's Creed was never my my cup of tea anyway. And the action RPG they tried to turn the franchise into was barely something I wanted to get into, simply because they littered the game with way too much content, and not even great content, just content. You open up your map and it's just like, I can't even tell what these land masses are because it's just icons littered all over the land masses of things to do. And I just like usually when I see that, I just check out. I'm just good. I'm good. So like I tried to play through Odyssey multiple times, and
Mm-hmm.
I always quit very shortly
Oh man.
in the attempt. So yeah, this is I would say like the
So
news
no,
here about Mirage and what they're going to show. I think another a mobile game as well, and they still have the MMO in production. I think the game plan here is much better than their previous game plans. It looks like they're going to continue go back to making old school Assassin's Creed games that the Assassin's Creed community wants, while also trying to develop a live service game where they're basically just using the name of the IP to try to generate interest in it, which is what Assassin's Creed Infinity is. And they'll try to do both of those, which I don't think Infinity is going to be successful, but at least that old school game is giving people, at least Mirage is giving people what they always ask for when it comes to that game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No. Yeah. That's. I'm excited for that, Slomo. Didn't care for Odyssey. I didn't really care for Valhalla. Played a little bit. Just was like, you know. It seems like this one's going back to the tried and true formula of the first Assassin's Creed, which I think are the best Assassin's Creed games. They also have the one you mentioned. It's set in 800 AD Baghdad, and then there's also there's Red, which is codename for Assassin's Creed game being developed in Quebec City. It's set in Japan, and then there's Neo Hex, a codename for one developed in Montreal and in Montreal. It's set in the late period of the Holy Roman Empire. It's supposed to be dealing with witch trials. So, and then you mentioned the live service game that they're working on as well. So, I'm excited. We know about Splinter Cell that's kind of in happening now. So I like that. I kind of like this. I like kind of where Ubisoft's going. They're going to they have so all this stuff's been leaked prior to their show, which is happening in 3 days. They have a Ubisoft Forward showcase. It's this September 10th, 3 days from now. And Ubisoft's going to show off games like Skull and Bones, Division, Heartland. Look, I want to see Beyond Good Evil 2. I don't know if that's still happening. I think it's been a couple years since we've seen that announcement, so hopefully we get an update with that one.
I'm like on the fence of that game ever really coming out.
Yeah, me too, man. But I don't know. Fingers crossed, right?
It's like a 50% chance that game get canceled, but we'll see.
Yeah, I might check out Skull and Bones. Hamp, you have my some interest. You have me interested in that because I did like Black Flag was one of my favorite Assassin's Creed games. So Skull and Bones I might have to try that out, see what that's about. But Hamp, what are your thoughts, man? Any thoughts on the Assassin's Creed games kind of going back to their roots?
So before I make my comments, I just want to, because I think my comments will be in sync with Slomo's. I just want to make sure I understood the takeaway. So Slomo, your feeling is that Ubisoft returning to the formula of the original, I'll call it the trilogy of the Assassin's Creed games, is a good move from a game design perspective and a business perspective, while it may not specifically interest you.
Yes.
Okay. I just want to tell you, man, as I've considered my sojourn across gaming social media and a lot of the reasons why I'm out, one of those is like the fact that so much of the gamer Twitter commentary is about how it's about gamers viewing things through only their perspective and only their lens, and refusing to acknowledge the other demographics of the market. So I just want to give you a big shout out, because one of my key things that I find to be interesting in conversation, one of the key things that I find to make conversations not interesting, is the ability to recognize, right, that you may like a thing or may not like a thing, but there is market demand for a thing. So I absolutely agree with you. I think there are a lot of people who, particularly as Ubisoft kind of continue to double down on that formula of Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla, have gotten kind of Assassin's Creed fatigue from that model. And I think, bereft of coming up with a more original idea, that's probably the best move that they could make would be to go back to the old salt, and that will probably do them some good, at least in recapturing that portion of the audience. I don't know that that I have a huge, there was a time for a few years where, quite honestly, you put Xbox, Sony, Nintendo, right, in the same show, right, in E3 with EA, Ubisoft, Bethesda, right, and the big third party publishers. And quite honestly, for a couple years, right, Ubisoft was the most interesting show to me, more interesting than the console manufacturers in a couple of cases. But unfortunately, that's not where they are today with just the slew of cancellations they've had. It's very hard for me to tell what the what what the character of maybe it's not that what the brand means right today.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas just as they were launching that subscription service the first time around, I was on the edge of my seat going, hey, I probably buy 4 Ubisoft games a year, right? The subscription costs about 3 of them, right? If I'm going to buy at least 3 Ubisoft games in a year, I may as well get the subscription. To just a year later where I was like, I don't see 3 Ubisoft games on the landscape, right, that I'm going to buy. So my hopes aren't particularly high for the show itself or what we expect to see coming down the pipe from Ubisoft over the next year. My one holdout is, as BRAP mentioned, I am curious to see what's going to go on with Skull and Bones. That is a niche game, but I think it's a niche game that addresses a very specific itch. And so a lot of people have been poo-poo on that game since the very start, but that's, in my opinion, because a lot of people, particularly a lot of big mainstream, big name, podcasters and whatnot, just never understood that game or that subgenre and never had any interest in it. It's not like something was ever going to hook them about it. But I think for people who were players of, World of Warships, Dreadnought, maybe even a little bit of EVE Online to a certain extent, but gamers who have been into kind of these games that have a vehicular focus and are a little bit more kind of on the MOBA end of the spectrum will have an interest in that game. And so I'm curious to see how it turns out. And as BRAP mentioned, I'm probably going to at least dip my toe into it and see how it feels, and then determine if I'm going to kind of stay in that ecosystem.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, Hamp. I love the new nickname, by the way.
I want to echo what
Yeah.
Hamp is saying. I think that, like, I agree. Ubisoft has not seemed to have a identity or a focus of what they're trying to do, and it seems like whenever they do define an identity, it's not what people want, and then they immediately like try to switch gears to something else. Like, you could go back to maybe like 5 years ago where you could pretty much tell what a Ubisoft game was, regardless of IP, just by looking at it. Like, it had those blueprints within the same game design of open world. Here's a little hub here. Here's a tower. You go to the tower, open up all of the side quests that's in that area. You find your story mission. You do the side quest. You get that out the way. You do your story mission. Rinse and repeat to the next little region within this open world. And they switch gears from that to trying to chase trends, chase other games that were successful, but just taking their own IP and then just kind of like throwing their IP on, slapping it on top of another product. For example, the Division Heartland. I'm a massive Division fan. I think that switching to different genres should be organic. It should be something that's like you did a little bit of that in one of your games and people really liked it, and so then you do a spin-off of something that's a bigger version of what people enjoyed. Now, if they would have did something like that, we would have had a massive like battle royale survival from Division 1 survival, because everyone loved that. But instead, they tried to do Escape from Tarkov, but with a Division skin. And that's Division Heartland, even though most people who've played it aren't supposed to talk about what the game is. But, I'm not saying I played it. I'm just saying what it is. So there you go. But But it literally is that game. It's Escape from Tarkov with a Division skin within the Division universe, and there's nothing about the game that is the Division. It's like it doesn't play like the Division.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing of that is the same feeling, and so I think there's a lot of backlash with that kind of like that game was supposed to be out last year, and it's still not out yet. So like they've pushed some of those games back where they clearly were trying to go for a different kind of, and even outright cancel some, like their that Ghost Recon abomination they showed that everyone universally downvoted, and then they just canceled it. There's a couple of other ones that have been extended. I don't know why X Defiant hasn't been canceled yet. That one probably is I will admit, I was in the technical test of that. It was the worst playing shooter I've ever played in my life. So I don't understand why they keep doing that, but it seems now that they're trying to do this dual commitment where, like with Assassin's Creed, we're going to give you your traditional Assassin's Creed, but we're also going to try this other thing. And we hope it takes off, because if it takes off, we got a live service ongoing IP that's going to make us crazy money. Like, just imagine an Assassin's Creed, open world MMO Assassin's Creed that's successful. And people are creating their own assassins and just going off and doing whatever the heck they want in this open world. Like they would love for that. You know how much they love to monetize things. Like it will be microtransactions all over the place. They would love it. But in the meantime, you're probably not going to get your traditional Assassin's Creed fans to really engage in that as much as you would the gamer who just likes those kind of games.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like it looks like they're trying to do both. They're trying to appease both crowds, and will it work? I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting how that pans out. But I gotta, again, I'm excited, man. They're going this route. Like that, to me, that's more exciting than if they would have kept the same formula going.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'm definitely looking forward to kind of seeing what. I'm assuming that we'll probably see something on the 10th. So, be interesting to see how what they show us, if they show us anything Assassin's Creed related on the 10th. But I wouldn't be surprised if they did. So, all right. So, Hamp, any other thoughts on this before we move on?
Nope. That's pretty much it for me.
All right. So, I do want to discuss Microsoft's new talk. Microsoft has a new controller, the Xbox Elite 2 core controller, at $129. For me, if I'm at $130, I'm also pay the extra to get everything with the Elite 2.
Of course, you're going to buy it.
I mean, like, what's it? No, I'm not buying the controller.
Yes, you are, Enrique.
I have an Elite controller too. I don't need this one.
So you haven't thought about, I could put one on my Xbox and put the other one on my PC?
No, definitely not. Oh God, why did you say that?
See, look,
why did you just say?
I already got it. I
didn't even have that. I didn't even have that thought process in my mind. But no,
you're going to do it.
Great point. But I'm not going to do it because I just don't see the value in spending $130 when I can just get the whole package for an extra $50.
That has never been the rubric. That has never been the litmus test about will you or won't you.
You're going to do it. It's just cut the cap. You're going to.
Why do you guys want me to spend money? I'm curious. Like everyone, like it's like
we're already at the end of the book. Like we've read this story before. We've seen this episode.
Even people in the live chat are saying
know this. At the end. It's like the episode of Full House where at the end the father, the music starts playing, the father gives the lesson of the day. You already know it's coming, and so we already know you're going to buy this controller, Enrique, because you can't help yourself.
Well, you know what? The live chat is they agree with you. Jeffy Gaby says BRAP can't deny FOMO. T-Rock says BRAP will buy for his kids. Truth says he's lying. FOMO will get him. No, I have no plans to buy this controller. I don't think I need it. I don't need it. I mean, it's just.
I would agree, and I would actually say, like, who is this for? Like, because it's a neutered
version
Elite
of the Series
controller,
2. Yeah.
right? You don't get all the stuff that makes the Elite controller. So this is weird. Like, at this level of how stripped out it is, I would just say just buy a regular controller.
Well, that's my point. I feel like if you're going to so they give you the option. You could buy the Elite 2, and then it has a component pack that you can as an addition. At that point, it's like if I'm spending 130, to me it just makes more sense to spend the extra 50 and then get all the bells and whistles. That way I have all the bells and whistles just in case I ever decide to to get them, but I get it. Like,
it seems like the only difference is you don't get like the replacement parts, right?
Well, it's not, to me, they're not just the replacement parts, but they're the ones that allow you to specifically tailor the Elite controller experience to what you want. Like, even with the full blown Elite controller system, I still ordered extra thumbsticks because there are some games that I prefer to have too tall. Some I prefer too short. Some I prefer like one short, one tall, depending on whether I'm playing a PvP game, or just a regular first-person shooter or a driving game, which are like those genres of games. Like, I specifically like cause me to deliberately to use the Elite controller more so than any of just my regular controller. So to me, even with the full kit, I still went out and bought extra stuff. So I don't know why you would buy this. What I would have preferred, actually, like a need that I would like fulfilled, is Elite controllers in the design lab that allow you to that would customize their color scheme.
Didn't they say that was coming?
Yeah, I think they did say that was coming. I'd have to go back and look at the article.
Yeah, I think they said that was coming in the. I'll have to double check it.
Yeah, I'd have to.
But
yeah.
Hamp,
But
you said, who is this for? I think if I didn't already own an Elite controller, I would get this one, and here's why. One, it's like $50 cheaper there. I'm a cheapskate, right? So two, the way I use my Elite controller, although I wouldn't have known this prior to owning one, is that I haven't changed the thumbsticks or anything. I just traded my old one in because the old one, the USB-C port started to go bad and I had stick drift. So both of those things was like, nope. Got my Best Buy warranty. I took care of it. But the way I only two things I really do with my Elite controller is I use the paddles for certain games, and I have like 5 profiles I have on my account, and I can just switch them out whenever. But I extensively use the 3 that you can load at a time into it, and then the sensitivity of the triggers, I change that to as sensitive as possible so that I can make sure my shots go out quicker. That's the only really 2 things that I change on the Elite controller. Everything else doesn't matter to me, and those 2 things are actually there in the core controller. So maybe there's a lot of people out there like myself that's different than Hamp, where that's all we use it for. And if they know that, we could probably like come out with an actual product that actually focuses solely on just that market. And maybe if that's all you're going to do it for, maybe there are people who haven't bought one yet because they didn't like the price, but like, okay, this is like $50 cheaper, why not?
But the one thing you mentioned is one that I feel like is essential for the Elite controllers, and that's the paddles, which you don't get with the core. Now, I mean,
you don't get the paddles?
I don't think so.
Oh yeah, I see it. There's paddles here.
But the paddles come with the component pack, which is the $60 add-on.
What? They don't give you the paddles?
No, so it's $50 less than existing.
Never mind then. So you can get. Never mind then. I don't understand. Yeah, like okay, wait. So like you can get paddles if you decide to upgrade it. Oh, okay. Let me go put paddles on this then. But
this is this is like a down payment on a Elite 2 controller.
So rent to own Elite controller too.
Yeah,
I don't understand the purpose of the profiles. Because on my profiles, I only change the paddles.
Yeah, Slomo, this is basically layaway for an Elite controller.
Now, what I will say is here's the trick. Now, I use the paddles, but I will readily admit, Slomo, I'm curious if your experience was the same. When I first got my Elite controller, what I told myself was, there's no way I'm going to be able to like reprogram my muscle memory to start using the paddles. And
Yeah.
so what I did for a year, months, was I just took those paddles off because I got tired of mistakenly hitting them. And I hadn't messed with the profiling software yet, and I got tired of mistakenly hitting them and having them commit some action that I didn't intend. So I took them off for a very long time. They just sat in a box. And then finally getting into Halo Infinite, I was like, I need some tricks. so it finally forced me to break out my paddles, and I realized, right, I should have been flipping using these the whole time. So maybe the trick is people won't realize what to me is like the huge amount of value you get from getting those paddles and forcing yourself to learn to use them, and what they will do for your gameplay, particularly in competitive online games, which is, to me, is just a little sad, right, from a user perspective. I mean, that people are going to buy this cheaper controller and not benefit from, like we talk about in a lot of cases with gaming genres, like forcing themselves outside their comfort zone and actually using that particular accessory.
Yeah. Although
shout out to the chat saying I'm out here spreading lies. Look, man, I thought the paddles were on there. I'm sorry. Okay, there's no paddles. Good grief.
Yeah.
And look, to Hamp's point, I think, well, for me, when I first got it, I was just like, yo, I'm not using those paddles. Like I just like, because I tried to use them and it felt awkward. I still don't use my left paddles. I only use the right ones. And this is like after having it for a year. But I started looking at some of the games that I was playing, started thinking like, all right, strategy wise, how could I use this? And I remember playing, the first time I created a profile, I was playing Halo Infinite. And you're playing on controller every now and then. You're trying to shoot at somebody, you're in a one-on-one, and then you melee. Why do you melee when you didn't intend to melee? Because melee is mapped to pressing in the right thumbstick, and you pressed it in too hard. Or you were pushing towards it because you were trying to aim towards the guy you're shooting at, and then the game either incorrectly or maybe you pressed on it, you actually meleeed, and now you're dead because you missed out on all that DPS you should have been hitting the enemy with. Instead, you're meleeing, looking stupid, and people just know, yeah, that's a controller player. So what I did was, I took my melee off the pressing of the right thumbstick, made that blank, and I made my melee my lower paddle, and so now, when I run up and when I'm meleeing somebody, I'm hitting them. I know exactly. I mean, just hitting the paddle. It's the only thing that's on the paddle. And I never have that issue of meleeing in the middle of shooting at someone because there's no longer anything on that input. So that's when I started thinking about, man, that really helped me out in my gameplay. What else can I use this for? Then I started using it in Rogue Company. Got a profile there. Dodge rolling, instead of hitting B, over on B to hit dodge roll, taking my thumb off the thumbstick. Now I'm not aiming at people anymore when I'm dodging or aiming at a certain direction. Now I have it on my paddle. Now my dodges are a lot better. It's like you have to think through it. And then once you think through it, you're like, oh man, the uses for this are perfect. I still haven't even figured out how to use it for Fortnite. I know I could, probably changing weapons maybe. I don't know, but it has a lot of uses, and I see Sony believes that as well. They have paddles for the, what is it called? The DualSense
Copy.
The copy.
the PlayStation imposter.
What is it, Enrique? What is it called? You said you were going to buy one, so I know you. The Edge. Thank you.
The PlayStation. Yeah, I'm definitely getting that controller. Absolutely, man.
See what I mean?
But well, no, because I don't have an Elite. There's no Elite controller.
Too,
Yeah, there's no Elite controller for the PlayStation like that. Well, I mean, there's the what's it called? It's the third party ones. I forget who makes them. Anyhow,
don't even say Scuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say Scuff. Yes, that's it.
Scuff is a Ponzi pyramid marketing scheme. Those controllers are not nearly as great as they are advertised to be at $200-something.
Yeah, we missed a super chat from Gaming Forte who says,
let me get some super. There's some other super chats before, and let me get those real quick. T-Rock 40 with the $2 super chat says BRAP will buy for xCloud and the SUV, saying I will buy the Elite that new Elite controller for that. And then you want to grab Forte's Slomo?
Yeah, he says the Core has Bluetooth enabled, just like the Xbox One. The Elite 2 doesn't have that feature. We all know when this controller releases, BRAP will be calling. Yes, Forte, we have fully established that. He can say whatever he wants right now. When that controller releases later this year, he's going to be calling you. You know, and you can hear the scratching of the neck. You know, like it's the crackhead. You know,
oh man, come on! I'm not gonna be doing that. No. Why are they calling you the ovulator?
I don't know, man. It went from the pollinator to the ovulator.
Oh, forgot the pollinator. Yeah. Thank you for that super chat, T-Rock and Forte. Appreciate it as always, gentlemen. Yeah, I get. This controller is just not. It would be for me, but I think it's probably gonna sell, because I think there could be some people that see value in hey, you know what, I don't want to commit all to the Elite, but I also wanted to upgrade from my standard controller. I mean, I'll go this route. I mean, I could see that. I just I don't see the value in it. I think if you're at 130, just pay the extra 50.
It just hit me what I'm going to use the paddles for in Fortnite. I'm going to use it. I'm going to put the jump button on the paddles. It'll be perfect.
I was thinking about that, man.
Yeah.
I need to do that.
Yeah, so it seems to me, I mean, according to everything that I see, the base Elite Controller Series 2 does have Bluetooth.
Yes. Yeah, that's what Forte was saying. It does have Bluetooth. So I've never used my Elite controller, attempted to use it Bluetooth. It doesn't have Bluetooth?
No, it does. That's what I'm saying. I thought what Forte was saying was that the Core had Bluetooth, whereas the regular controller Series 2 did not.
That's what I think he said. Yeah.
But from what I see, the regular Series 2 does. It's advertised to work with iOS and Android.
Yeah. I have mine directly connected USB-C to USB-C to my PC, so I've never attempted to use it any other way. So yeah, I didn't even know if that was what he was saying. I wouldn't have known any differently.
Yeah, I mean, it says right here on the product page: switch between devices, easily pair and switch between Xbox Series XS and Xbox One consoles, Windows PC, and mobile devices with Xbox Wireless and Bluetooth.
And that makes sense. I mean, it has a charging station with like, if you're got it directly connected, you're never going to the battery's never going to need to be recharged because you're already getting power from that direct connection anyway. So yeah, it makes total sense that would have it.
Yeah. Well, again, I will not. Real quick, I want to give a warm welcome to
what are you
Mr.
guys talking
Wareword.
about? What are you talking about? The Elite controller?
We're talking about the new Elite controller. Worry. What do you worry? Is this something you might be interested in? What are your thoughts?
I was going to get it, but I think I'm going to wait to see if it comes to Game Pass.
Oh boy, I don't even know what to say about that.
Yeah, I'm waiting.
Are you like the Amico?
Yeah. No, I have no interest in Elite controllers. I'm fine with just the regular controller.
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. I hear you. Some of the live chats, Forte's just trying to sell extra controllers. Forte might be doing that. Forte might be doing that. I would agree with that. And he's going to be calling me at some point too. So,
or you'll be calling him.
What's that?
Or you'll be calling him.
Or I'll be calling him.
Is that the person you always call for everything?
Yeah.
When I can't get something, yes.
which is like everything, because you can never get anything. You're always asking for a new console, a new controller. I need 2 PS4s. I need 3 Xbox Series X's.
Except Forte cannot get him a Steam Deck, which I believe, BRAP, you're now the only member of the regularly recurring panel who doesn't have one.
Oh man, see, I know what you guys are trying to do.
Forte doesn't have one either.
Oh yeah, Forte doesn't have one, so I don't feel as bad. But no, you know what? I might get a Steam Deck at some point. Who knows? We'll see. Never say never. Although I'm not gonna lie, that Pokemon Switch, I don't know.
See what we're talking about here? FOMO. What do you need this Pokemon Switch for, Enrique?
You gotta get that Splatoon 3 Switch.
Oh, that's Splatoon Switch. Yeah, yeah.
He'll buy both of them.
No, I won't.
So I do
From
just want
from
I-
Forte.
I do just want to mention because it'll be interesting if Forte shows up tonight to get his comeuppance on this. So I've corroborated this now 3 times that the Elite Controller 2 does feature Bluetooth.
Yeah, I thought it did. I didn't think that was correct when Forte said that, but I'm glad you that you confirmed that it in fact does. So
because I just lived to fact check Forte. That's.
I mean,
one
I
of the great joys of the
could
week.
have just like, I mean, mine. I'm looking at mine right now. I could have just like disconnected
Pause.
the USB cable, turned it on, and then see if it, if my Bluetooth picked it up. But
yeah, that's true. All right, Worry, your timing is impeccable, sir.
Is it? Why?
Yes, it is. Your timing. By the way, for those who don't know Worry and I go way back, by the way. Probably like what, 8 years? 7 years?
I think it was 7 or 8 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah,
Back when you were a raging Xbox fanatic.
I wasn't. Well, maybe
and
I was.
now he's a raging PlayStation fanatic.
Yeah.
According to some people, I am.
No. He's a raging PC elitist now.
Well, he got to actually play games on PC.
I do play games on PC, Slomo. I'm
yeah.
playing Cyberpunk right now and a little bit of Fortnite.
Enrique, every time we play Fortnite together, which platform you playing on?
Xbox.
I need to use my Xbox for something, man. Come on.
PlayStation. And I'm like, because every time he wants to do game chat, I'm like, oh God, let me turn on game chat. And he's like,
that is the worst, by the way.
I just feel comfortable, sitting on the couch and playing. And then like the one time out of like 5 that he finally stops playing on PlayStation, Fortnite that is, to play on PC, he spends the first 2 matches telling me, Slomo, it looks so much better on PC. It just looks so great on PC.
First of all, I don't speak like that, Slomo. I'm not like,
yeah, you sound just like that.
I actually thought it was BRAP talking. I didn't even know it was Slomo.
Oh my God.
That's how much he sounds like you. Yeah, BRAP, you have a real like fear of missing out on like everything. You got to be everywhere. Like if I came to your house and took everything out except for a PlayStation, would you be happy?
No.
Yeah.
I would. I mean, I'm not even. That's not even. I'm not even making that up. I mean, I would not be. Yeah. I wouldn't be happy. I'd be on the phone with Forte like right away.
Enrique.
Yeah. Forte's like my drug dealer.
Those new
Your
GPUs sounding pretty good. Are you going to get a 4000 series GPU from NVIDIA?
Probably not.
Which means in the next 6 months I'll have one.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to have a 47.
Goodness. No, I'm not going to do that.
And he can't get another XX70 series card because he already did that this generation. So clearly he has to step up to an XX80 or even an XX90 next time
Right.
around.
Yeah, it's my bad. 4080. It'll be a 4080. Yeah.
No 4080s.
Dead air.
No, I'm not going to do it. I'm telling you. Oh God. You know what? I hate this because it's like if I get it, then it's going to be like, oh, we told you so.
0% of this panel and the audience believe you. Just letting you know. Like we all know how you roll at this point. So.
Yeah, I just know from your Twitter. It's like every other day you're like somebody will say, "Man, I'm really enjoying this game," and then he'll come in, "Oh, the superior way to play that is on PC."
I've actually got a dog pile on top of that one. I don't know that his power supply will handle a 4080, so we're probably talking about a whole new PC.
Oh no! I wouldn't do that.
Which dovetails right into the fact that I've been telling him that he needs to. Then his next move needs to be having a primary gaming PC and a backup.
Oh, I can't do that. No way.
I'm working towards that too. I'm gonna have a streaming PC.
No, I don't have the room for
on your current
PC.
What's your wattage on your power supply?
I think it's 750 watts.
Yeah, you might need at least the 850.
Yeah, I mean, I could always swap out the the what's it called? So power supply. If I decide to go that route.
Oh boy, Enrique, I can't wait to see you try that. That's what I'm gonna say.
Why? You think?
By the way, he's got a cyber power PC. So look, I've been building PCs for over 20 years. And if I had to flip and go into that damn cyber power case, right, and yank out that power supply with the way they have it flipping, like all the cables tucked and hidden around everywhere, it was already a pain in the ass to upgrade that box. At that point, I'm just gutting it and building a new PC. So I think that's where you're headed anyway.
Yeah, I upgraded my PSU from 600 to 850 last year. I mean, look, it's pretty straightforward, but with my mini ATX case and getting my big ass hands in there, especially for the header that's in the top left corner of your motherboard, where you got it like have the PSU 4-pin connector connected in there to power the motherboard. It was really difficult to get my hands in there. And everything else is pretty straightforward, but like, yeah, it's you really need to pay attention to what you're doing to make sure you're doing it correctly.
Yeah, you know, I could always pay someone to do it too. So
true.
It's not bad when you built your own box and you know, right, how every cable got laid and how everything got put in. That makes it so much easier. When you gotta decrypt what some other person did, it's a pain in the butt. And I built I built a mini ITX case a few years ago, and every PC I built since then, I'm like, F that. I don't need. I've done it once, and I can say that I've done it. I don't need to go through that pain again.
Yeah, I thought about going that route, that kind of case for my streaming PC, because I don't really need as much space as my main PC. But then I thought about, like, my motherboard is PCIe 3.0. I got an older CPU in here. I want to just build a brand new gaming PC and then make my current PC.
Hey, you see Forte trying to hustle me in the chat again, man, about that PC that we talked about last week. I don't want it, Forte.
I just offered him $500 for it.
I saw that. Yeah, he said you're like 950 short. All right, let's move. Yeah, let's move on from the PC talk before the chat kills us, because I know they love when we discuss PC. All right, like I said, Warrior, your timing is impeccable. I do want to discuss our good buddy Jim Ryan, PlayStation.
Jim the Snitch Ryan.
Yeah, this PlayStation Xbox's Call of Duty offer was inadequate on many levels. All right, so this was reported by Game. I first saw this by Game Industry Biz. By the way, a very reputable news site. Definitely, if you're not reading their content, I would recommend that you do. All right, so we know Microsoft has promised to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation for 3 years and beyond. Wait, hold on, wait, where am I? Hold on.
You, if you're looking for the quote, I can read it.
No, I got it right here now. So I want to kind of backtrack here. Brad Smith has actually come out. It was on CNBC, and basically said, "Hey, you know what? Our intent's to keep, you know, Activision titles like CoD and other popular Activision titles on, you know, multiple platforms." That he even specifically, you know, referred to CoD and wanting that particular franchise to go to Nintendo as well. Do I have the Brad Smith? Hold on a sec here. I'll make sure I think I had the Brad Smith quotes.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are keying in on the word hope when Brad Smith gave that interview.
Much like Desire with Phil Spencer.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're right. He did mention kind of, that he did say hope. But hold on, where the hell's that? All right, I'm gonna have to find this later on. I had it up and I don't know what I did with it. But anyhow, because Brad Smith said, "Hey, we're basically communicating to the regulators that, you know, want to keep these games, multi-plat, want to keep them on the PlayStation," and that's pretty much kind of what he said. Now, what's interesting about Jim Ryan is that he, in a statement to GameIndustry.biz, said that the offer by Microsoft was inadequate on so many levels. So what he's saying is, and I quote, "I hadn't intended to comment on what I understood to be a private business discussion, but I feel the need to set the record straight because Phil Spencer brought this into a public forum. Microsoft is only offer." Yeah, this is real spicy. This is, I love it because this is like, you know, it's funny. Like, people are like surprised. I'm like, did you guys not pay attention to Tim Sweeney fucking, tearing down Apple and, you know, on Twitter, just tweeting madness every day. Like, Tim Sweeney was like, dude, put the phone down. But I'm not surprised by this. Sorry. So Microsoft has only offered for Call of Duty to remain on PlayStation for 3 years after the current agreement between Activision and Sony ends. After almost 20 years of Call of Duty on PlayStation, their proposal was inadequate on many levels and failed to take into account. This is funny, by the way. I come on, Jim. I find this really funny, Jim, because you guys have been. This is a time-honored tradition, Jim. And failed to take into account the impact of our gamers. We want to guarantee PlayStation gamers continue to have the highest quality Call of Duty experience, and Microsoft's proposal undermines this principle. So, I'll give my. I want to get the panel thoughts first, and then I'll chime in afterwards and kind of give my take on this. Worry, I want to go to you first. What are your thoughts, man?
I mean, to be honest with you, I always preface everything with opinion, and I don't care to the point where I'm going to get I'm going to lose sleep over this stuff. Like some people seem to be. I can see both sides to it.
You're not going to claim that kids are starving for food and stuff like that. And
no. Yeah. The only distinction, though, and this again is just how I see it. I mean, I do think that there is a distinction between bidding for timed exclusivity and having the ability, both companies, to bid with a publisher for timed exclusivity or timed DLC for a certain amount of time, in quotes, versus taking the ability to bid on that away forever by buying an entire publisher. So there is a distinction. It's sort of two sides to the same coin. I understand when people say, well, Final Fantasy VII isn't coming to Xbox, Final Fantasy 16 may be timed exclusive, but there is a distinction because Xbox could bid on that. They've done it in the past. Tomb Raider for a year. They've had every COD map during the 360 era, for instance. PlayStation could have done that as well. So the distinction is they're taking away that ability by buying the entire publisher. Now, we're arguing over time, though. We're arguing over, a year exclusivity, a year for maps versus forever with Call of Duty. So I do see both sides, but I think it's important to make that distinction, though, when you talk about this stuff. Because I see a lot of people using the whole, well, this game was tied up, this game never came. There's a difference between, again, going to Square Enix, if you're PlayStation, and saying, we want Final Fantasy on PlayStation. Traditionally, it's always done well here. Square Enix does not have to accept that deal. And also, Square Enix doesn't have to keep it there forever. Microsoft can bid on that as well. The difference is COD is gone forever after 3 years. I get both sides, but I do think it's important to make that distinction.
That's actually a great point, Worry. Yeah, that's a great point to make that distinction. Real quick, I do want to. I found what kind of Brad Smith said earlier in the year. He said, to be clear, Microsoft will continue to make Call of Duty other popular Activision Blizzard titles available on PlayStation through the terms of any existing agreement with Activision, and we have committed to Sony that we will also make them available on PlayStation beyond the existing agreement and into the future, that Sony fans continue to enjoy the games they love. Now, he's also, again, on CNBC, kind of specifically mentioned COD as being that game, and saying that that's kind of their intent to have that platform, that game, into the future on.
Yeah,
on
on the
Sony
flip
fans.
side, though.
Yeah.
On the flip side, Sony did purchase Bungie, right? So Destiny could be away from Xbox if this deal happens to go through. They can say, well, COD for 3 years and it's gone. Okay, Destiny's gone after 3 years.
Well, they actually can't, because that was actually Bungie made sure that was in the contract that they couldn't.
Well, I mean, yeah, a lot of stuff was in the contracts, though, when it came to Phil Spencer and Xbox, and that kind of wordage gets screwed around a lot too, So I don't think anything is set in stone, especially when you look at the Bethesda deal. Absolutely, positively, everything is going to go to other platforms, and then all of a sudden, when the deal closes, everything's exclusive.
I mean, but that's more of what they told us versus what Bungie actually said is in their deal. Like, that's what they told us was, like with ZeniMax Media, hey, look, we can't speak, definitively on what's going to happen, legalese, we don't own it yet, so we can't really say. But we're committed to making sure that those communities can play those games, yada yada yada. Deal's done. It's only going to be where Game Pass is. Take it or leave it. Like, I think that's a bit different than the deal comes out and Bungie's like, yeah, initially we told them what we wanted and the deal broke down last year. Then it came back up again. We still didn't change what we wanted, but apparently something changed on their end. And here we are, and we want to keep everything multi-platform, period. And you already kind of see some seeds of that already being shown. with Fortnite and Destiny had a crossover thing going on, typically what would have happened in the past when Sony and exclusive things, the things they have exclusive, is that all that would have been only been available on Fortnite on PlayStation.
You know, it would be really interesting then. The one company that's talking about, playing everywhere with anyone may be the only company that won't allow it in the future. Especially if Destiny stays everywhere, the crossover with Fortnite that you're talking about, and then Call of Duty just goes away. It could actually wind up hurting their image more than helping.
Oh, they definitely are speaking that talk right now because they're in the console market. They're third place. So of course they say a lot of things that sound very pro-consumer. Hey, get on our side. Hey, yeah, like look, Hyundai offers a 10-year warranty. Why does Hyundai offer a 10-year warranty? Because ain't nobody buying no damn Hyundais.
Oh, come on, man.
So hey, just keep it a buck. You only see a 10-year warranty from BMW. It is what it is. So it's just like when you have.
I see plenty of Hyundais on the road now, sir. The SUV they have is actually the top rated SUV with its cousin, the Kia Telluride.
Hey, if your transmission goes out in 6 years, you're good. Good for you, right? Like I'm saying is that like you offer these kind of things when you need to offer these kind of things, and Microsoft, Xbox having the kind of talk of we love to see play gamers playing together. Phil Spencer always uses these analogies of my son has a PlayStation, his friend has an Xbox. I love to see them playing games together. They love to talk that talk, but then behind the scenes, it's a different story. You want this? Well, we want Game Pass on your platform. What you gonna do about it? Like that's the kind of energy that they're on. They're businessmen, and I take everything any of these guys say for face value until it actually comes to put rubber towards the road, the way your action is going to show. I think. I mean, I said it back in January. I thought that they wanted to eventually make it exclusive, but like the numbers don't make sense. Like you with your current like community, your ecosystem is like if you take that off of PlayStation immediately as soon as the deal's done, as soon as the marketing's over, it's only on Xbox. You're only hurting yourself at that point. You're gonna have casual Call of Duty players who still don't know that Microsoft acquired Activision because they don't pay attention to that. Probably won't know anything until 2025 when they go walk into a GameStop and ask for Call of Duty, and the clerk Forte gives him Call of Duty on Xbox. He's just looking at it like, I ain't asked for that one. I want the one on PlayStation. And then that's when he's notified, so about that. It's not on PlayStation no more. You're going to have to get an Xbox. You want to play this. What they don't want is the situation where in that scenario, this guy now thought he was spending $70. Now he's spending at least $370 to play Call of Duty again. And he's probably, at that point, not going to get Call of Duty. Now you're missing out on sales. The other scenario here is that you get the marketing back and everything that Sony enjoyed on PlayStation, where there's a Call of Duty commercial, and then it goes PlayStation at the end. Instead, now you got the Zoom Xbox at the end. All of the benefits that they had where the beta comes out early on PlayStation, well, now it's coming out early on Xbox. New maps early, Xbox. New modes early, Xbox. When the Call of Duty player who only plays Call of Duty does not give a crap about PlayStation's ecosystem, doesn't give a crap about Call of Duty, God of War, Uncharted, Horizon Forbidden West, and don't care about none of those games. All he plays is Call of Duty. He or she plays Call of Duty. All the benefits is going over there now. All right, I'm going to get an Xbox. I'm going to go over there because they don't have any allegiance to PlayStation. And once in a 3-year period, you have that going on, the dynamics have now changed. And if you think about time frames, they got 2 years on the marketing deal, 3 more years from what they offered PlayStation to keep it there. A very generous offer as far as they're concerned. 5 years from now, you're looking at 2027 What's probably coming out in 2027? New consoles, PlayStation 6. So what they're really saying,
maybe not another Xbox though.
you don't think they're going to make another
No,
Xbox?
What I think
they're making another
is,
Xbox.
yeah, but I feel like they're doing the exact opposite that they did originally with the OS and Windows. They're working their way sort of backwards. With the OS, they started with proliferation everywhere. With Xbox, they started with a singular box, and they're working towards a service like Windows that has to live and die everywhere. So the only way I see this service being on other platforms, hardware companies that make hardware, like a service has to exist somewhere. This idea that consoles are going away because of a service, services have to exist somewhere. A physical phone, a tablet, a laptop, a computer, a console. So whoever has the console that sells the most is going to be attractive to a service provider. And I think eventually Microsoft wants to just be Game Pass. Like Netflix is everywhere. There is no little Netflix box or console per se. The only opposite to this is Apple, which is why Apple went a different route when they were competing with Microsoft early on. A walled garden, hardware and software combined together. So I do think eventually, just as my opinion, it looks like they're moving away from just a box. And in order to make that service more attractive to other people who may be more hardware focused, is if Microsoft isn't competing with them directly in that hardware space while offering a service that is attractive.
Well, that would be only if in say 2027 the current dynamics are still the same, which I think they believe you take away a major piece like the one game that sells number one on your rival's platform year in and year out, the dynamics will definitely change at that point. I think they, with the Xbox, this current Xbox being their at this point best selling piece of hardware, that they're definitely fine with keeping it up, and they've already even admitted so a few years back that they're already working on the next Xbox. So I think they are
they say
committed.
a lot. They do say a lot. I'm just saying, saying things is not something that I really key on, because you can say anything.
Mm-hmm.
But I do feel that, it's a big game, Call of Duty. I get it. But I don't think that people are just going to stop buying PlayStations for Spider-Man and, for Wolverine or anything else that the new IP that PlayStation is creating. I think it's going to change things, but I don't think it means that, PlayStation is doomed.
No, nothing like that.
Right.
Nothing like that at all. It's just that for as far as the Call of Duty community, if I don't know the exact numbers, I'm not going to pretend I do, but clearly we all know there are people who just like that kind of game. It's a shooter. It's kind of like one of the games that the casuals love. They love three games. They love 2K, they love FIFA / Madden, depending on where you live. In the United States is Madden, in the rest of the world is FIFA, and they love Call of Duty. And there are people out there,
the real football, soccer.
Here we look. I am not going to go down that road. I know some people might get upset. Soccer, football, whatever you want to call it, right? But like, there are people that absolutely are just like they're all about their Call of Duty, and that's it. They don't care where it is. It could be on a damn Nintendo Switch. Can they run it? Did I play it, right? So like for them, it's just like they'll go wherever that game goes, and so that doesn't mean that the people who like myself, because I don't play Call of Duty, but like myself who loves Spider-Man 2018, love that game, playing it on my the better version right now on my PC. Now I sound like Enrique. As well as like I'm going to play God of War later this year. I'm going to play Final Fantasy 16 next year. I'm going to play anything that's like that they have worked at in as exclusive that I'm interested in. I'm down for, right? But I'm not that target demographic anyway. And although this community is small and we're small but loud, the bigger like percentages are the people who don't know anything about anything that we talking about. They too busy right now just probably playing Call of Duty or watching Netflix or something. Those are the ones that this is really kind of like getting long term going to be about. And I think PlayStation understands that, which is why they said what they said to the Brazilian Commission about how big of a deal Call of Duty is, and Microsoft tried to downplay that. It's the reason why they're really fighting for this in these commissions with these regulators, because what they want, I think their end goal here is that they want a regulator to put enough pressure on Microsoft that they go, okay, look, scratch 3 years, we'll give you 6. They want more time. And I think they want more time because they're trying to build up an actual alternative, because even what's, I think was to them untenable for them is the fact that your biggest rival owns and gets 70% of the revenue off of the game that sells the most on your platform. You don't want that. Why would anybody want that? Not just that one, but Minecraft too. That was already a tough pill to swallow as it is, but now Call of Duty? Imagine if the dynamics stay the same forever.
It is odd, though. Don't you think it's odd that they're talking about we want communities to stay together? Like, for instance, if PlayStation plays this right, they could say, you know, the community on Xbox with Destiny, on PC with Destiny, on PlayStation with Destiny, we talk about cross-play. We want more cross-play. Well, we're giving it to you, but the other company that said they were, all of a sudden, isn't. So it is odd to me that we're arguing over like shooters and things like that. I remember when Xbox had the stigma of the shooter box. You remember the OG Xbox? Mm-hmm. It was nothing but shooters, and now we're back to that again.
Shooter. Yeah,
it's so weird. Yeah.
I do think that okay, just my bad, Enrique. One last thing I wanted to say. Crap, now I lost it. Damn it, I'm getting old. Can't remember things yet.
You got to stop sniffing glue like Enrique does.
Oh my God.
You got me hooked, man. You know.
Oh jeez.
He'll come back to me. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to rope Hamp here. Get your thoughts here, Hamp, on Jim Ryan's commentary and the like. So.
Yeah, I mean, well, kind of like you and I talked about earlier today, right? The two corporate giants are saying the things that they need to say, right, in order to wage the war of influence with the various regulatory commissions that are looking on. As far as like how this thing is going to play out, right? Like I honestly kind of struggle to see the deal going through without some type of constraint being put on exactly what is done with Call of Duty. That seems to be the key thing that the various commissions have kind of hung their hooks on as being the thing that could be crowbarred into anti-competitive behavior. So, and by the same token, although I said the same thing about Bethesda, and I quite honestly was kind of surprised at some of the moves to make the Bethesda portfolio exclusive. I don't see the math on taking, a key platform where the Call of Duty franchise sells and denying yourself of those sales. I don't think you make that up in Game Pass subscriptions, particularly when, you're talking about selling them on the platform where people are becoming accustomed and conditioned to paying $70 for games. So we'll see how it plays out. I don't really know that all the filibustering from Phil or Ryan really mean a whole hill of beans. I think what's much more pertinent is kind of what Brad Smith said. I think that's what the regulatory commissions will be keying in on. I do think it's important what Spencer did post in his blog post as far as, again, kind of telegraphing and conveying the intentions. Kind of like we talked about when we talked about the Halo Infinite discussion earlier. I mean, it's all of this kind of, as Slomo said, it's a matter of, what is the foot race that's going on, right? All of the business maneuvering and gaming version of gerrymandering that's going on, right, is all well and good, but what's the real foot race, right?
That's a good term for it.
Microsoft is trying to pull themselves up by the suspenders with regards to Halo Infinite, which it may have less of a concern about if it purchases Call of Duty. The foot race is then with Sony and whatever they're doing, right, in terms of providing a lift for getting live service games deployed, in the hopes that that one of them, or more than one of them, gain sufficient traction. At the end of the day, the key thing that's going to weigh on the regulatory commission's minds is that you know Call of Duty is a thing, right? It's an 800-pound gorilla, and there's no way to make that go away. There's no way to put that genie back in the bottle. You can't roll the clock back, right, 15 years or whatever, to remove that dynamic force on the industry. And so, the consideration is, do we put that in the hands of one very large competitor? I think there are reasons for that, and there are reasons against it. So again, these statements in the war of words are going to continue until the end of Microsoft's fiscal year in June of 2023, when this deal is supposed to be closed, and they will probably continue on thereafter in various forms. But I don't know that they mean a huge ton right now.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, Hamp. I think war of words. No one should be surprised by this. I mean, if you remember Tim Sweeney, Apple Epic, the war of words there. I mean, this is just they are politicking right now, trying to influence decision makers on the regulatory side. But I think what's interesting is. Well, a couple things. One, I'll go back to what I said earlier. I thought Jim Ryan's comments about exclusivity were kind of interesting because Sony is it's a time-honored tradition in gaming. We talked about this earlier, Hamp. It's a time-honored tradition in the gaming industry to get exclusives on your platform, to keep things away from your competitors, to make your platform more attractive to consumers. So I think it's interesting that he's kind of playing that card when Sony has done very well in terms of locking exclusivity down, and the same. But I do see people. But I also understand that I think you mentioned this too. The economies of scale aren't the same as if you're comparing Final Fantasy VII to Call of Duty. It's a Call of Duty is a different beast. Like you said, it's the 800-pound gorilla. So it's a little bit different in that regard. I think that we should acknowledge that. Yes, while Sony absolutely has money had it, Microsoft's done the same thing, Nintendo's done the same thing. This is kind of behavior in the industry that's not uncommon. I think that we should also recognize that this thing is bigger than any exclusive, I think. And I know people like to bring up Spider-Man being this big popular IP. Yeah, it is. But in the gaming space, it's no COD. It just isn't.
But I also don't think that makes COD transformative in the sense that, because it sells more than everything else, it somehow is in a different IP than other IP. Like the license to put the game on the platform is no different than any other license to put the games on the platform. So if Sony tries to argue we're Call of Duty, well, that's different. Well, how is it different? They're going to have to explain exactly why Call of Duty is different than, say, Final Fantasy VII Remake, that they paid for timed exclusivity and for some odd reason still isn't on an Xbox platform.
Yeah.
Or Final Fantasy 16, or even games that they now own with Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo. Why that they put in their contracts that the developers and publishers can't even speak on the other platform and inform the community of when those games will be showing up on other platforms. Well, why do you do all those things if it's different, if it's just a timed exclusive? You don't treat it as a timed exclusive. You treat it as just a full-blown exclusive. They did that with Death Stranding. They marketed Death Stranding initially as a full-blown exclusive, not console exclusive. They didn't even want it being known it was going to PC. So why do you do this and put this in your contracts if somehow these games are different than Call of Duty? So
that's
explain
that's something Microsoft addressed. Yeah.
To
the Brazilian regulatory
explain that
agency.
in a way that a regulator is going to actually agree with them. And I think their behavior, which I have no problem with. I like their aggressiveness. I think it's what you're supposed to do. to try to protect your position as a market leader. But I think that aggressiveness is going to kind of bite them in the butt when it comes down to when Microsoft gives their counter argument to the CMA, and they're looking at everything Microsoft is going to say is going to echo a lot of things they already said to the Brazilian Commission, and we saw some of those things brought up there about how Sony has paid to keep games off of Game Pass and
absolutely.
yada yada. So like all that kind of stuff is going to come out, and I think when it all comes down to it, they're going to have a hard time. I think, in my opinion, they're going to have a hard time arguing that this is a unfair advantage. It's definitely an advantage getting this deal, getting this acquisition. Clearly an advantage, but is it an unfair advantage? I don't know. I don't think that shows. So
yeah, I mean, I don't want to make draw that conclusion that it's in fact unfair. We don't know how this is going to play out. You know, and you know, to your point, Slomo, I mean, Microsoft's already raised those questions to the Brazilian regulatory agency about, you know, that's why they said, hey, wait a minute, Sony does this. They prevent games from going to Game Pass, but they did that for a reason.
The only distinction though is time.
Yeah.
That's the distinction. It's time. Final Fantasy, Death Stranding, they don't own the publisher. The publisher can do what they want money-wise. Microsoft can come in and say, what was the deal? Here's $1 billion. They're going to go to Xbox. So it's a time issue. It's not forever, whereas buying the publisher, 3 years later, the IP is gone. That would be the distinction. Like, you can go to the store, you can buy a bunch of sugar, you can buy some corn syrup, you can mix it up, and you can make a drink that tastes just as good as Coca-Cola. But you cannot create the brand of Coke overnight. It takes years to build up a brand as powerful as Call of Duty. That could be an argument. Again, the distinction is time. It's just time. They're taking Death Stranding away for time. They're taking Final Fantasy away for time. They don't own Square Enix yet. Square Enix can make the decision tomorrow to say, you know what? Thanks for the money. Final Fantasy was on your platform for a while. We're going to put it on Xbox now. No one's stopping them from doing that. Sure, there's a relationship built over time between PlayStation and Square Enix, but they don't own Square Enix, and they're not forcing Square Enix not to take bids from other people to get games on their platform. Microsoft is just not making those bids anymore for time content. What they're doing is they're buying that content up and saying no more. So the distinction comes down to time.
So I feel like some of the questions that are going to get asked, and again, I don't make any predictions on which way it's going to fall, is going to be, hey, Sony, given the fact that a third-party game, right, if you're proclaiming that a third-party published game was the linchpin of your financial performance, right, over 20 years, did you never assume that could be a potential weakness, a single point of failure? And have you not done anything to bulwark against that? Part of that answer might very well then be yes, right? Because I think it's publicly known knowledge that Sony is in a race and is committing a lot of resources to, as you guys mentioned, right, buying up Bungie, having development teams focus on live service games. One of the questions will then be,
and hold on real quick. Definitely shooters. Definitely, like we got like 3 or 4 of those live service games are specifically shooters, and we don't know necessarily whether they're like a Halo kind of shooter, but clearly, I mean, we can see where this is going. They want something that's very much a replacement for Call of Duty.
Competitive, right? I mean, I might even go so far as to say not just shooters, but specifically looter shooters, right? With season passes, etc. So then a follow-on question is, Microsoft has committed, you already have an agreement to cover you for the next 3 releases. And now Microsoft has said, now you have 6. Do you feel it's not feasible to launch competitive games over the next 6 years? That's not an insignificant chunk of time for Sony to get its gathers up and figure something out, particularly considering that they should have been giving thought to that for some period of time, right, prior to this, at least the past year. So again, I'm not necessarily saying that those are questions of indictment. I'm just saying that they may be things that commissions would ask, and then the question becomes, okay, so Call of Duty has occupied the center of mass for the last 20 years. Did you literally think that it was going to be that way in perpetuity, right, for the next 20 years? I don't think that those perspectives from a business perspective are healthy. and it's what I've mentioned before, right, with Sony, that my concern with them has always been, right, this, we believe in generations, we're going to double down and commit to doing what we've done, in perpetuity before. Just gave off this smell of we're never going to swerve and change course, until it's too late. Has always been my concern, and so I think these commissions may kind of dig around evidentiary statements to that effect.
Yeah, no,
they're sort of stuck. They're stuck between trying to be Nintendo, which they could never be, and then trying to compete in a market that's affecting them when it comes to PlayStation and Xbox, which doesn't affect Nintendo at all. So it's a weird spot for them to be in. I do think. I mean, I don't really dive into this console war stuff, but if somebody asked me to put money on it, I do think that, and I talked to Mooch about this behind the scenes. I do feel like Microsoft is really squeezing now to sort of get control of this segment where PlayStation and Nintendo exist in the gaming space, and I do feel like for good or for bad, or for, what's the expression, bad or worse? What is that expression for
better or
for good
worse?
or for bad? For better or worse. Thank you.
There you go. Yeah.
For better or worse, I don't know, but I do think that they're on their way to doing that.
Absolutely. I mean, I think last regular episode, right, we pitched the idea that Microsoft could be very well just following a kind of Cold War strategy of just kind of forcing Sony to overcommit, right, and overspend in a manner in which they really can't. The good news, I guess, about that position is I don't believe, and Falky could definitely be a better corroborator of this, I don't think Sony is in a really horrible position from a debt perspective right now, and they actually don't borrow a lot and could definitely borrow more. In fact, I think the argument could be made that they don't borrow enough, and are surviving more so on the equity that they already have, and that might be a thing to be questioned. But definitely. I mean, and this is a, forgive the language, right? But as BRAP and I were talking earlier, right? This is the kind of classic, big fight between Godzilla and King Kong of, fuck around and find out, right? So Sony has been poking the bear, arguably, for the last few years, and right, this is what happens when the bear gets woken up, right? And Satya starts asking the question, hey, why are we fighting with one hand tied behind our back? Right, we have $3 trillion of capability behind you that could be aligned if that's what you want, Phil. And now we're kind of starting to see that flex, and it's interesting to see what paths they're going down. Again, not making any statement on whether that's right. I'm sure, absolutely certain that there are people screaming in the chat now about this isn't good for the gaming industry, and it's not fair, and Microsoft isn't competing, and yada yada yada. I get less. Less concerned about how people feel about competing. It and looking at the reality. Right. Well, I know that's the argument we would I would
give chat credit tonight. I haven't seen anybody saying that yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen anybody go off the rails yet. Yeah. But
okay, I redact my statement.
Yeah, but to your point, Hamp. Microsoft's competing. I've seen that sentiment. They're buying. They're not competing because they're buying studios. No, they're actually they are competing. That's why they're buying these studios. It's a form of competition, and I think
that's a way of competing. Yeah, just because it's not your preferred method of competing, which turns out to be what your competition is only capable, what your preferred platform is only capable of doing, doesn't mean they're not competing. It's just in a way that you don't prefer, because your own side can't do exactly what they did. Like literally Activision and what's the next top two big, EA and
Ubisoft.
Yeah, EA and Take-Two probably are like the closest to Activision when it comes to worth. Like those three are completely out of Sony's price range. Everyone else is fair game for them, but those three, they couldn't do that, and that everyone knows that. That's obvious, but it's just. Like that's competition, man. That's the way this works in here. You could compete in various different ways. You could make your own studio, build it up, and have it make great content, or you can buy someone else's studio that makes great content. Either way, are you getting the content? Is what it really comes down to. The content that people want.
Yeah, and somebody real quick. Somebody asked me. I forget who it was. Asked me what would you be happy if the deal passed? And I'm like, I don't care. Like if the deal passes, great. I mean, like if COD wasn't on PlayStation, I'd be okay. I would live another day. I have a PC.
But there are 40 and 50-year-old men like biting their nails right now.
I know
who have nothing to do with gaming whatsoever, live and die on social media, that are just like waiting for it to pass so they can have like a barbecue with GoPro cameras attached to their heads.
Yeah.
So here's the thing.
Sleeping.
Yep.
Here's the thing that to me that'll be interesting. As we watch this foot race, we talk about strength punishes and speed kills, right? And so here we see Microsoft flexing with strength. One of the arguments that I was thinking about while you guys were talking was, I was like, wouldn't it seem natural that Microsoft would ask, if the FTC or the CMA tries to disapprove this, to ask, hey, well, why weren't you guys disapproving Tencent when they were running around buying everyone up? But then I realized Tencent's not buying everyone. They're just occupying and taking large stakes in certain key players. And so while Microsoft's energy is a certain amount of
Sony's doing
energy,
too, by the way, Sony's doing the same thing.
Absolutely, right. And in fact, partnering with Tencent in some cases to take large stakes. It's going to be curious to see how this comes out, where, while a lot of Microsoft's energy and focus is absolutely tied up in trying to get this M&A through, while in the meantime, Tencent uses speed and runs around, takes major stakes in lots of people, moving very quickly. And by the time Microsoft is able to lift their head up and pay attention to anything else, they may be standing in a room surrounded by Tencent and owning a big stake in a bunch of their key competitors. And that may be a more effective strategy, right? And suddenly Microsoft, who hasn't mentioned Tencent being one of their major competitors, right? They keep pointing to the Amazons and the Googles, which I definitely recognize because of the adjacent markets that they compete in. But, again, Tencent's the fourth largest cloud player, right? Or up thereabouts. It's going to be interesting if suddenly they turn around and find out that it's really Tencent that they've been really fighting and has been waging a war on completely different strategy than the one they were trying to overpower Sony with.
Yeah, that's a great point, Hamp. And one thing I've noticed too, Hamp, you mentioned the CMA. I've seen this narrative come out more recently where people are saying the CMA is biased towards Sony, they're protecting them. I'm not sure where that's coming from.
It's true. It's true, Enrique. I actually have evidence that all of the CMA was in a party last night on PlayStation 5 playing Killzone. So take that for what you will.
Oh my God. But no, it's like Josh says, the CMA hates Microsoft. Like, where do these conspiracy theories come from? Like, I'm really curious.
I mean, it's insanity. Like I'm saying, like, that's why I cannot stand going on social media, because how can you be over 16 or 17 years old and think this? Have you not been exposed to anything in real life? You honestly think that people on the CMA board like PlayStation over Xbox? They're on Twitter participating in console wars? It just doesn't happen.
Well, you had that journalist who said that this reads like they're trying. I forget who it was.
Tom Warren.
Tom Warren. Was it Tom Warren?
Yeah.
Yeah, but going to Tom Warren for Microsoft news is like going to the Ford dealer and asking, what do you think about Chevy? Of course he's going to tell you Chevy sucks, right?
Exactly.
I mean,
yes.
Come on.
Outside that, it does suck, but.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. I just don't. Because I've seen that. I've seen. Oh, well, they're trying to protect Sony. I'm like, well, no, Sony's got a lot to lose potentially here. That's kind of what they're addressing. But they've also mentioned other competitors. I think you mentioned this too, Hamp, that they're also looking at this deal and how tied with Microsoft's adjacencies, like how that could impact consumers and future competition. I think you may have said that. I don't misquote you, but I think you had mentioned that last week or maybe 2 weeks ago. Yeah, and I don't want to. And I mean, we're absolutely right to throw shade at those sus moves by people leading that narrative. I will say the shred of truth that I might pick at is Microsoft has clearly been waging a huge Rolling Thunder campaign right on Capitol Hill. And with regulators, right, to try and poise themselves with arguments to ensure this gets through in the U.S.
I wouldn't entirely put it by Jim Ryan, who comes out of the European division of Sony and PlayStation, to not have been doing the same thing in the UK. And so, they may have very well, I'm certain that they leveraged some effort over there as well, to kind of get in front of this and lobby, and put some good arguments up front. Now whether or not, that bait got the CMA on the hook, I don't know that I would go that far, and I certainly don't know that I would go so far as, the formal statements that they, wrote and issued, were overly swayed by that. But, I wouldn't put it past them for some influence to have been leveraged.
Yeah, but you would expect that from any company in this kind of position to lobby. we
absolutely.
Talk about Capitol Hill. That's what companies do. They lobby regulators. Yeah, go ahead.
When this whole announcement came out from Microsoft in the first place, what I said was, as was indicative from their statements, is that they had been walking this deal on Capitol Hill for months before it was ever officially announced, right, to the public. So, there's no way in the world that you would lay out $70 billion without doing your homework, right, and without clasping hands, and making sure that you had at least some people who had the potential, right, to be swayed to your side. To do otherwise would just be foolish. And say what you will about Microsoft, but again, you don't get to be a multi-trillion-dollar company by employing fools.
Exactly. Well said. And you don't get to be a trillion-dollar company by playing nice in the sandbox with others. You're going.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. So, but I'm seeing a little bit of live chat. People are saying that CMA is looking out for, Sony, not the consumer. Why would they protect the market leader? That's kind of an interesting take. Again, I don't understand the conspiracies, but I guess to each their own. But yeah. Yeah, some people are saying the CMA report like it was written by Jim Ryan. Oh boy. Yeah. Okay. Any other thoughts on Jim Ryan's commentary before we wrap up the show?
I think we're good.
I liked him on Kitchen Nightmares.
What's that, Worry?
I love this work on Kitchen Nightmares.
Oh, my goodness.
The one other thing I'll say about Jim's comments is again, what we mentioned last show was, sometimes maybe it's worthwhile to take these kind of micro movements in consideration as a whole. And, probably, while I've said Sony has a messaging problem and Jim Ryan may not be the best at PR, it probably was a good move to at least come off appearing like you were trying to protect, securing a property to continue to come to your platform while you are concurrently raising prices, right? In certain regions, right? Probably not a good idea to raise prices and then say, concurrently, and I don't care if Call of Duty leaves my platform. So, if you're raising prices and you need to have a narrative that shows that you are continuing to ensure value comes to that platform for people who are going to pay that increased price, like we've said, you absolutely have to come out of your corner swinging to argue to keep Call of Duty right on the PlayStation platform.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's an interesting point. Yeah. All right. Any other thoughts? No? Going once, going twice? All right. Well, look, first of all, I want to thank Senor Worrywart for joining us. Worry, always a pleasure, man. Always a pleasure. I mean,
thank you. Don't forget, this Friday, the competitor to Call of Duty is releasing Splatoon 3 on the Nintendo Switch.
It's actually a good
Make sure
game,
you pick that up.
Splatoon's actually
I
really good.
I was in the beta. It was so much fun. Just a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's really good. I really enjoy Splatoon 2. Yeah, solid game. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. So I'm definitely looking forward to Splatoon 3. But don't worry, man. Seriously, man. Always a pleasure. I don't know if you want to be found, if you want to let everyone know they can find you. If not, that's okay. I understand. Social media isn't always reasonable, I guess. I don't know.
You could just put it in the notes. Whatever you do.
Put it in the notes, exactly.
Whatever it's called. Put it there. Whatever.
Yeah. But no, man, seriously, always a pleasure, man. It's always great having you on and appreciate you taking time. I know you're busy, so definitely appreciate the time, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then real quick, everybody, we have like 160 some people watching. Hit that like button. Only 53 likes. Do it for Slomo. Do it for Hamp. Do it for Forte. Slomo, man.
Yo.
You got a show tomorrow.
Yes, we do. We have the 100th episode of the Damage Per Second podcast, which is me and Gaming Forte, my co-host. We will be going live 9 p.m. tomorrow. We're going to have a very special show. We got a few announcements, a few surprises for you guys. So come on through, hang out with us. We'll be discussing a lot of some similar things that we discussed tonight and then some. So come on through.
Yeah, no, that's congratulations on 100, man. It's going to be awesome. Definitely looking forward to that, Slomo. And then we have Hamp, formerly known as Game Logic. Hamp, man, I like the new nickname, man. I like the new nickname.
I do dig it. And we have to give full-on credit to Slomo for coming up with that.
Yeah, we have to. We have to give credit.
It's what I do. I don't know what I do, but yeah, creating cool nicknames. There we go.
There you go, man. There you go. Yeah, no, Hamp, man, always a pleasure, man. You are not on social media, so don't go looking for him. I'll just leave it at that. And I suppose people could try to find...
The Hamp don't do social media.
No, the Hamp doesn't do social media.
True. Although I did have an argument with my family who said YouTube is social media, and I didn't necessarily agree.
It is social media.
Well, there it is. And you are, of course, all welcome to stop by the Enough to Keep Going weekly games podcast on Sunday nights at 8:45 p.m. On the E2KG Network podcasting channel on YouTube. But if you do show up, just understand we don't do a lot of arguing or fighting with the chat because nobody's ever there. But even if you were, we wouldn't. But we would definitely entertain questions and comments. But just if you do swing by, understand that it's kind of like if NPR had a gaming podcast, which I know doesn't interest a lot of people, and we do that way for a very deliberate reason. So there it is. If you want to check it out, and if not, we're okay. You guys can talk to me on Wednesday nights when I'm here on BRAP.
You are still on Twitter, correct?
I'm not on Twitter. No.
Oh, I thought you were. Gaming Logic on Twitter? No.
It's there. It's in its 30-day till deactivation countdown timer, which I don't anticipate reversing course on. But
it is nice not having Twitter. Trust me, I've done it a few times. It's really nice.
Yeah.
Correction. Yeah. The Hamp only does one social media platform. There you go.
I just look. We're probably going to have this conversation at some point. My take and the reason why I'm out is I don't believe gamer Twitter. I think gamer Twitter has entirely lost the pulse of the actual majority of the gaming consumer market. They voice an opinion based on the enthusiast opinion and continuously reinforce and convince themselves that the enthusiast opinion is the majority of the market, and it's not. And that leads to a lot of bad assessments on what's going on and how consumers will respond to different things. So that just that in and of itself just left very little value in me continuing to be part of that discussion.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I remember you actually tweeting out some very insightful things, and it just kind of falling on deaf ears, which was unfortunate because there was some insightful stuff that you were kind of putting out there as relates to kind of the industry and things like that. So, but I've seen it before. Like I said, when big shout to Optimus Co. When he first got on Twitter, he was trying to give people kind of an idea as a former game developer, kind of how things worked, and that was met with it was met with a lot of pushback in some instances if things that he was saying didn't fit a certain perspective or narrative.
And that for me is I'm okay with that. I'm used to that. The thing that started to lose the dice for me was people get outraged over a thing, right? And then attempt to convince everyone that that's how all consumers are going to see it. And I'm like, we need to understand that, the vast majority of the gaming market, even the people who are really into games, like they don't read gaming news every single day. They don't rotate around to a different podcast every single night, paying attention to what every like gaming podcast on YouTube has to say about the industry. There are many of them who, like Slomo mentioned, right, don't know that this whole Microsoft Activision thing is going on. And when we talk about, you know, the raising of prices of the PlayStation, right, people flipped out about that and were like, well, you know, you have to admit that's a bad look. I'm like, in order for it to be a bad look, somebody has to be looking at it. And if they're not looking at it, it's not a bad look, right? And lots of people aren't going to be conscious about the PlayStation changing prices until they walk into a store. And that kid mowing grass for the summer to buy a PlayStation 5 maybe doesn't know about that price increase. And when he goes into the store, is he going to turn around and walk out because the price went up? Nope. Or is he going to go back and mow 3 more flipping lawns, right, and come back the next day so he can buy that PlayStation?
Or is he going to go to his parents and like, I need $50 more.
Right, I'll pay you back.
I'll pay you back.
Right?
Yeah.
Give him 50 and,
Can I get $50 real quick? Yeah.
Well, what's interesting is
Sony knows that.
The price increase. I think you said this. Hamp put it on par with the retail price for the consoles here in the U.S.
Yeah, in many cases, right? I mean, in at least, you know, the 16 countries that were charging less for the US dollar cost of what we pay for a PlayStation 5, it absolutely brought it closer, you know, into parity. And the other 63 countries that were paying more than we pay, you know, at the US dollar level, again, some of them were hurt, right, in air quotes, by the price increase. But again, on a scale, right, it wasn't, you know, a huge impact to them. Again, as a comparative statement to, right, what the rest of the world is paying. And in many of those countries, right, that what was bandied about as a $50 price increase by the media was in reality like a 30-something price increase in US dollars.
I do have to say though, there's a price increase here. I am 100% certain now. You cannot find. All right, so look, directPlaystation.com, right? They have ever since, well, actually before this announced price increase until now, you can just go on there and just get the bundle, which is literally a PlayStation 5 with a physical copy of Horizon Forbidden West for $550, right? Before taxes. The digital and regular PlayStation 5s have been sold out for forever. Now, when I went to Best Buy last weekend to exchange my Xbox controller, my Elite controller, I saw behind the desk, the counter was like 7 PlayStations, and I was just like, "Damn, are all those accounted for?" And the woman that was helping me looked back and was like, "Oh no, those are for sale, but those are the bundled ones. They're $550." And I said, "Yeah, I can tell they're the bundled ones. Interesting. You don't have any of the regular ones?" "No, I haven't seen a regular one in months." And I'm like, "Cool." So, I mean, I know that's very anecdotal, and it's just in my area, but from the digital to the actual store, the only stuff that's available seemed to me, unless someone has seen differently, actually seen regular PlayStations, is the bundled Horizon bundle, which is $550. So it's like an unofficial price increase, because the only way you're getting a PlayStation is if you coming out of pocket for about $600 after tax. So
yeah. So is your feeling that people are not buying the bundles and they're willing to wait for the non-bundled one and to pay the $50 less?
I don't know. I don't know. That might be the case. It's interesting that, like, we've had this thought in our mind. It's just like they're so hard to get a hold of, and then out of nowhere they just started being more accessible. Excuse me, at least here in the United States. But the only one that is accessible is the bundle, that is. And so I asked, I was like, so I could just buy one of those right now. And she was like, yeah. No, you don't need to pre-order or anything or hold that, but hold. It's just like, yeah, there's 7 right there that are available. I was like, cool. So I mean, it is what it is. Like, I could go on PlayStation website right now and buy one,
right?
And they're available. So it's just, I think maybe people, when they see sold out of the regular one, they're thinking in their mind, I'll just go back. I'll just wait for the regular one to come back into stock. But my theory is Sony's just like, you're gonna be waiting for a while because we not allowing
non-bundle
non-bundles that sell right now. So
yeah, it's tough to say. I mean, earlier in the month of August, part of what I theorized is, and it's probably somewhere between the two, or a mixture of like all of these are true. I think, Q3 of any calendar year is always a down quarter for electronics, right? Because people are saving up for the holiday season. The other impact going on, as I've been exposed to, is people take their last big vacation swings right in the month of August. They go to amusement parks. They go to the beach. They rent out big condos. And so I was mentioning to BRAP the other day, I was like, flipping Valve. I knew they were going to do it. They sent me the damn Steam Deck notification the day before I was taking off for vacation on Labor Day. And I suspect that, like a lot of other consumers, I don't like making a big financial outlay, particularly for an electronic that I can't use as I'm walking out the door to vacation, right? So I think some of that plays into it. I think there sometimes aren't a lot of big entertainment purchases in that back to school window as well. When people are maybe buying laptops for college and things of that nature. So
way more important stuff.
Yeah. So I think part of that's dynamic. I don't discount what you said. I think a mixture of a lot of those things are playing into it. I think my big thing was just to say that what my problem and why I backpedaled away from social media is just the wild extrapolations and the meteoric takes from like the smallest bit of evidence. The statements of things like, I don't need to see data to make an assessment. I'm like, that's just wrong. Like everything literally that I've been taught in life and business is that we absolutely need to look at the data. So it's like I said, the conversation just descended below the minimum floor threshold for me and being worthwhile. So, but I'm glad other people are participating in it.
Right. But which is why I always, like I said, like this is clearly anecdotal. This is what I'm seeing in my area. Someone else could be out in like freaking bumfuck Arkansas, and their target's got like 7 regular PlayStations just sitting there or whatever. Right? I don't know.
Slomo, one of your assessments based on anecdotal evidence is worth 25 other wild extrapolations on social media. So I don't discount it, and I absolutely consider it of value.
Cool.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. It's Worry and I were like I said, we go back years, and it wasn't this bad, Worry, years ago as it is now. I think it's gotten progressively worse.
Well, yeah, as soon as YouTube influencer channels started to make money off ad revenue and telling a certain base, whether or not it's PlayStation or Xbox, what they want to hear over and over and over again, that's when everything just sort of went to shit. That's why I'm really not that active on podcasts anymore, and I just do my own thing, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, no, I hear. Yeah, no, I agree with you, man. Once, because you got to remember, it was only a handful of people that were actually doing podcasts, but they were never to the degree. Well, I'm gonna blame Mooch. Actually, I'm gonna bring this up on Crossfire Friday. There's BGST, but yeah, I mean, but there was only a handful. Now it's like everyone in their world has a podcast, and it's all like Circle Square, or the X whatever podcasts. They're everywhere now, and it's become very I don't know how to describe, like very very cliquish, high school cliquish. And people are it's all confirmation bias, and if you don't push a certain narrative, or where you don't subscribe to conspiracy theories,
you can't come to my podcast.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
We don't allow your kind around here.
It's exactly what it is, Slomo. I mean, it's I mean, like, all jokes aside, I mean, it's true. Like, if you're not pushing a certain narrative for a company, people block you or they get upset, and a lot of it's very very driven by emotion. It's kind of weird.
You know the circles, the cliques in the high school cafeteria groups based upon who always shows up on whose channel
Oh,
for
absolutely.
certain stuff all the time. They clearly, if they wanted to have a real conversation, a real discussion, where it's someone who actually has a actual different opinion than them, they could clearly just invite certain people who be willing to come on and give their side, but they don't want that. Because they want an echo chamber. They want people, when they propose a certain topic, that the overwhelming response is, yeah, I agree. And when someone, just so happens to not agree, they call them all kinds of names and say the fuck your problem. Like it becomes a problem that you are dissenting. And
Yeah.
why is it like that? Because if you would think, if that's not what you're into, then these kind of podcasts will have like 5 people watching them. But instead, these kind of podcasts have over thousands of people watching them. And so,
Yeah, and people are just feeding off the misinformation, disinformation. Like, I don't have a problem if someone gives an opinion on like a news item, but at least, at the very least, talk about the news item first, or the facts. And if you want to, give an opinion on that, fine. But people are running with opinions first, and running with these like we saw the live chat, the CMA stuff, these crazy conspiracy theories, the misinformation, disinformation. People don't understand. Like, Ham, you and I were, trying to explain how exchange rates have impacted the console industry, and it's impacted Microsoft too, and like in India where they've raised the price, and people are like, you're defending pricing. No, we're not. We're not defending anything like that. We're trying.
Those people are here to talk about games. They're not here to talk about foreign exchange rates, is their claim.
Yeah.
Let's disregard the fact that foreign exchange rates have an impact on games, but let's just ignore that and bury our heads in the sand.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all a bunch of lunch tables, right? Every time we go to a podcast, we're walking into the high school cafeteria, and everybody's choosing which lunch table they want to sit down at. I know we're trying to wrap up. The craziness of the Twitter takes are, a great example that we talked about on my show, from my perspective, is I can't remember the name of the developer, but the developer working on now I'm forgetting it. It's a Ukrainian developer doing a Kickstarter, and they, as one of their stretch goals, they offered as a reward that people, and these Ukrainian developers are currently serving in an artillery unit, right, in the Russia-Ukraine war.
Oh, Stalker 2?
No, it's not. I don't think it's the Stalker 2 guys. I think it's another developer.
Because I saw something with them. They were in army fatigues and guns. They're like, yeah, I'm coding, and then at night I'm like watching the wall or something. I'm just like, well, damn. Like,
yeah. I think it's a different. There are lots of if you look at the VentureBeat summit that just happened a few months ago, which I helped cover. Ukraine was up until this war was a hotbed of gaming development in the European Union, and that was heavily being looked at and heavily being scouted for teams where people were making a lot of investments in recruiting talent, but these developers offered as a stretch goal the opportunity for 3 contributors to have their names placed on a piece of artillery, and one of the Twitter comments was, those shells are absolutely going to land next to a civilian, 100% guaranteed. And I'm like, do you understand the Russia-Ukraine war? Right? Do you understand the forward lines of defense and like who's targeting whom? Ukraine's not attacking Russian civilian centers, right? So it was just a crazy extrapolation, again, as BRAP mentioned, built off just like not just a complete lack of awareness of what's going on in the world. And so, when that becomes like part of the primary fuel of the gaming conversation in social media, I just got to be out.
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. I mean, I hear you, Hamp. I mean, like, Maury and I talk a lot about this behind the scenes too. It's like, there was that commentary worry about people struggling to put food on the table, and I'm like, what? Like, if people are doing that, in reality, gaming's probably not a priority for them. And if they can't afford something because there's a price increase, they're going to do what consumers do. They're either going to say, you know what, we can't afford this right now, and go on with their lives. but to bring that point up purely based off emotion is just like, what are we doing here? Like it doesn't make, like, I'm almost positive we don't do this with any other consumer product. And it's weird. It's weird to me.
But that channel, that specific channel, right, is here to talk about games. They're not here to talk about housing or world hunger, unless it suits their narrative.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, but and that's why, you know, I appreciate you know, what you guys do on your show, Hamp, where it's a lot of gaming conversation, and it's, you know, it's discussed in news. It's not sensationalism, and even with you and I almost forgot his name, Forte Slomo, on DPS, you know, you guys talk about games that are in development, even games that people don't even talk about.
We all,
you know, some of the smaller stuff.
People don't.
Yeah, but it's great. It's a great perspective. A lot of people don't do it. You know, and so I have a great appreciation for that. And Worry, you do the same with some of the content you put out too. It's very well thought out. It isn't like these sensationalist takes. It's not, you know, to rally everyone, get everyone riled up, and everyone have their pitchforks and torches out. It's not about that. So, and what I find interesting is that people will, you know, say that they're doing this all in the name of gaming, and it's like, are you really? Because it doesn't seem that way. So, just my quick take. But anyhow. All right, check out DPS tomorrow night. Slomo, it's on your channel? I forgot now. Or
Yep.
Okay, yep, on Slomo Backslap's channel on YouTube. So check them out. Their 100th episode. Please go. You know, if you're not following them on YouTube, definitely subscribe. Like I said, they really put out some great content. And if you want to find Worry, I'll probably put something in the description. Then Hamp, mention where you guys can find him on YouTube as well. So. On that note, we're out. Everyone, have a great week. Enjoy some time playing video games. I may do a BRAP rant the next, I don't know, day or two, depending when I have time, because I do want to talk about the Last of Us remake, which I finished in 3 days. So I have some thoughts on that. And Slobo, I think you did a stream this week that I thought you had some great commentary with regards to that game. So
yeah, some of the discussion on the story. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was really, yeah. So, give me a follow, BRAP_podcast. Again, if you're new to the show, subscribe, hit the bell notification. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you.